Hello all and welcome to History with R&R Monday mornings. I'm actually live streaming. Yay! Thanks to my dear and getting me a headset that actually works on this contraption. So how are we doing, Jeff?
Oh, doing pretty well today. A lot better than last week. I was a little under the weather last week. I don't know if you could tell, but
yeah, we were both I was pissed and you were sick. So, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're both doing better.
Yeah, we're both doing better. Take a quick spin through chat. We have Mrs. Canuck, welcome, my love, and John DeMarco, welcome, sir. So today we're going to have just a quick little announcement here. History with R&R and Rambling Canuck. I haven't got any of the shows recorded, any of the records done, mainly because, as I explained last week, last Sunday, my computer decided it no longer wanted to do any of this garbage, and it checked out. So, by dying. So I've been running on the backup computer that was never meant to do any of this. So I haven't been able to record anything because I don't have the editor. I don't have any of that. I do have a new system on the order, so it's in the hands of UPS. So it should be here by the end of this week, which means hopefully by next week I should have everything back up and running and we should be back to somewhat normal. So do bear with me. I know we've lost a couple of subscribers on both channels, but I haven't killed the channel. There will be content coming out. It's just at the moment I can't do very much because I'm on the old laptop that was never meant to do any of this. So just
I
bear
think it's
with
just
me.
YouTube interference.
Yeah, so just bear with me, and we'll get this done, and we'll have some fun. So today's topic is when Rome as I put it to Zoe to make her laugh. I says it's when Rome decided to take a walk in the bush and got lost. And bringing up Zoe, or wait, we might have a conflict of interest because we apparently have Disney on.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
Disney's taking over.
Yikes.
Have they bought us out?
If so, I'm checking my bank account.
I want some of that action.
Yeah. All right,
everyone.
welcome, Zoe.
Hi, how you
Welcome,
doing?
Zoe.
No, not too bad. So today's topic is when, now I believe we're doing the first invasion where they completely botched it, or are we doing the one where they actually succeeded?
A little bit of both. It's
Okay.
What I've called it is how Britain defeated Caesar by just waiting him out.
Yeah.
It's the first two attempts to invade Britain. So
Okay.
I thought we'd go through those rather than
Okay.
the one where they actually managed to get here and stay.
Yeah. It's like a bad itch. It kept coming back.
Yeah.
But yeah, the or there's the one where technically Britain defeated Rome 3 times, and one time they didn't even know they did it.
Yeah. It's like, hi, Britain, we're leaving. It's like, what? You were still here?
Well, yeah. Well, the one time I think is the funniest is when they beat Nero and they didn't even know they did it, because he never left the shore. Yeah, he never left the shore.
Is this a Star Trek story?
The other Nero.
The other
Nero.
He's just as bat crazy, but I mean, it's just different. No relation, I don't think. Welcome, Zax. Yeah, that was funny. They ended up, they were going to invade Britain, and they just came away with a whole bunch of seashells, for some reason.
That sounds like something Caligula would do. Didn't he? Oh, Caligula's great. Didn't he declare war on the sea?
Yeah. Oh wait, I confused the two. It was Caligula, not Nero.
That's it. Yeah, it does sound like something Nero might do, though, because he's all about making people think that he was great.
Yeah. He was really good at that. Bad time to be a Christian, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ended up being lion food usually.
Well, someone's got to feed them.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that it happened to be, them.
Yeah.
It's just a bad day at the office. But so we'll let you take us away, and we'll kind of I'll throw in my uneducated 2 cents whenever I think it's appropriate. We'll go from there.
And so will I.
Yes, but you were one of those odd guests that actually has notes. I
Yes.
never have notes.
I've got 5 pages of notes.
Yeah. See, I never have those things. I don't know why.
I'll just sit here looking stoic.
Marcus Aurelius. Pleased to meet you.
Yeah. He didn't do very much.
He thought about a lot.
Yeah. Didn't do a whole lot, but thought about it. And welcome, Castles. All right. So wherever you want to direct us, we'll go from there.
Oh, don't give me that kind of power. Today is a Star Trek day. We're going to talk about... No, we won't. We'll go back. Let's go back in time, back to 55 BC, where Julius Caesar is running amok in Gaul, attacking everything in sight, and genuinely trying to stay one step ahead of his creditors and the consequences of his wildly illegal activities. Now, during his antics, he's discovered some local rumours, and they're quite intriguing. They're rumours about this strange new landmass, one that's not connected to the mainland that he's on, and which may not even exist. So he's intrigued. Now, local legends call it a land that was only real some of the time, and when it wasn't visible, it was because it had disappeared into another realm. Now, naturally, this was dismissed as hogwash by the Romans because, they already know what an island is. They've conquered Sicily at this point. They have an idea. So they're pretty sure that islands don't just get up and wander off when they feel like it. Also, they're aware that the Gauls have already visited this island that may or may not exist. There's been a Gallic king who ruled in part of Gaul and part of this other island. And most importantly, from Caesar's point of view, there are merchants who sell things to the people on this island. So in the mind of Caesar, if Roman wine can go to Britain, Roman soldiers can go to Britain. And that's what he needs. So all he really needs at this point then is 2 things. He wants a bit of intelligence on what to expect when he gets there, and he needs an excuse to go there. Now, the former is going to take a bit of work. You've got to actually gather some people who know things, but the latter's easy because you can just lie. So, he's a politician. He knows what to do about lying. So, Caesar wrote a dispatch to Rome explaining that, the Caesar guy, he's great. He's won some more battles and he's secured more of Gaul for the glory of Rome. And my voice is going, hang on.
Uh-oh.
Did the letter end with, and I'm going to get in trouble for this, but did the letter end with, and Britain has weapons of mass destruction? I'm just curious.
Don't get the channel canceled.
I'm just curious.
Funnily enough, kind of.
I figured as much.
So he wrote this dispatch to Rome explaining, hey, I'm great, and I've won some more battles and secured more of Gaul for the glory of Rome, etc., etc. But now there's a bit of trouble brewing. All these Gallic people, they keep rebelling. And it turns out they're being funded by Britain. Britain has money and it's causing us problems. So I'm going to have to go over there and smack some heads together and conquer some dudes in the name of peace and security and democracy and whatnot. Because it's still the Republic, so he can still get away with that crap. So, and he ends it with, hey, we cool with that, Rome? Just act like we cool. It's all right.
Yeah.
So he rounds up all of these locals. He hasn't waited for the Senate to tell him he can do this. He's just decided, right, I've got my excuse, I'm off. He rounds up a load of locals who apparently know something about this mysterious island of Britons, and he demands that they tell him about the island. And they don't. They won't tell him anything. Because, and I mean, this is probably a bit annoying to Caesar, but from their point of view, it's actually a good thing because they don't want anyone else muscling in on their territory. They can get plunder from Britain. They can sell things to Britain. They don't want the Romans getting in on that and taxing people. So Caesar as well, to hell with all you guys. I'm going to send my own guy. And he sends the first recorded person to ever see Britain from Rome. There were two others that may have seen it. A Greek cartographer called, I think it's Paulinus, and a guy from Carthage who sailed up there to see if there are any trade routes. But this new guy, he's the first Roman to see Britain. He's called Gaius Volusinus because Rome has this thing. You can either be a Caesar or you can have an impronounceable name. So we got Volusinus. He sails over in a small scout ship to take a look at Britain. And yeah, it's not too good because it's a bit weird. Oh, sorry. I'm drinking Coke here to keep awake and it's kind of bubbly. But from what we know of where Caesar was at the time when he sent this guy out and where he eventually decided to land, we have an idea that Volusinus went over and had a look at the Kent coast because that seems to be where everyone was going. But he didn't go any further, and it's brilliant why. He says, according to the historical records, Volusinus did not dare leave his ship because the Britons looked like they were going to attack. So the first Roman to see Britain kind of sets the stage for what's going to happen. This place looks a bit scary. I'm not getting off the boat. So he goes back and he tells Caesar what he's seen. But that's enough for Caesar. He knows a few things now because he's got one important thing. Britain is there and it's close enough to sail to easily, which is very important because Rome sucks at sailing. Like, really, really sucks. They're
So
great.
that's where the French got it. Whoops. Sorry. Carry on.
It's the case. The Romans are amazing on land. You don't want to fight the Romans on land, but they can't sail for toffee, as we would say. So their usual ships, they're barely functional. It's ridiculous. Their seaworthiness is next to zero. Rome is so bad at naval warfare at this point that their usual tactic is to get as close to their enemy as possible, lower some giant boards to attach to the other ship, cross those boards and fight hand to hand. The Roman tactic, because they are so bad at sailing, is to turn a naval war into a ground war on water. That's how they do things. So Britain being close enough to sail to with a trireme run by a Roman and built by a Roman who's probably never seen the sea is pretty good from the Roman point of view. So Gaius Volusinus, the first Roman to not go to Britain, accidentally, by going over there and having a look around, has kind of tipped off the Britons as to what Rome is actually intending to do. The merchants that Caesar was talking to, they've already sent a word to the Britons that Rome is probably sniffing around and might come over. But Gaius Volusinus turning up and having a look around and going back without even getting off his boat has tipped them off. Like, yes, the Romans are coming. So the Britons get ready for action. So what happens next is several British ambassadors arrive in Gaul. And they've got their ways of saying things, but it basically comes down to, look, guys, we don't want any trouble, all right? We're willing to talk, and we might even welcome you guys in if you're nice enough, but we don't want any trouble. So Caesar thinks, maybe we've got a chance here. So he sends them home with one of his local Gallic allies called Commius. Commius, Commius. He's the king of the Atrebates tribe of Belgae. So he's been on Caesar's side, and he's pretty well trusted. So he goes with the Britons back to Britain to try and settle things diplomatically, because Caesar thinks, well, maybe I can get a victory without even having to do anything. But just in case, I'll get myself ready. So their mission, Commius, is just to go and get as many British tribes on Rome's side before Rome arrives as possible. And if, guys, you're thinking, this sounds an awful lot like Caesar is warning his enemies that he's about to attack, you would be right.
Yeah. Way to give it away.
Yeah, it's certainly how the Britons seem to take it, because the moment that Caesar sets sail with the 7th and 10th legions, because he's only taken 2, he has more. He's only taken 2. He doesn't think this is going to be too bad because, after all, the diplomats have come and already tried to surrender to him, essentially, plus a number of warships and several ships full of cavalry, which will be coming over afterward. They sail over, and guess who's there on the coastline, ready to meet him? Just have a quick drink. So Caesar does something very stupid. He sets off after midnight, which is a really bad idea because the English Channel tends to get rough, especially at night. But he got lucky. He gets across. He sailed for a few hours. He has arrived at Dover, which is a nice place to arrive. Very popular port, Dover. You can go from Dover to Calais all the time. It's one of the most popular and populous ports in Britain. But at the time when Caesar arrived, there's no port there. And he sails for a few hours, and then he gets to see huge, intensely white chalk cliffs shining out in front of him. And it's Britain, and it looks amazing. What doesn't look amazing, though, is the army of Britons stood on top of those cliffs, holding spears and watching him approach.
Yeah.
So how do you think the Britons knew the Romans were coming and that they were going to attempt to land at Dover? Well, here's the thing. When you're standing on top of the cliffs of Dover, you can see France. You can see France clearly and everything in between Dover and France. So the Romans didn't know this, but the Britons, having been tipped off that the Romans might be coming, have had sentries sat on top of those cliffs ever since they heard word that Rome might be coming. Those sentries saw Caesar leave and saw Caesar all the way across the channel, getting closer and closer and closer. And they sent word to all their friends. They're coming. They have this many ships. We'd best get ready for them.
Yes. Prepare the welcoming committee.
Yeah. So Caesar saw this welcoming committee and he noped the hell out of there. Normally,
can't blame him.
Yeah. Normally you would think, well, they're on top of that cliff. There's no way they could hurt us from down here. But yeah, they can, because you can throw those spears down and it will hurt you. So he didn't go there. In the meantime, his second wave of ships is arriving behind him. So they have a quick, they lash up next to each other and they have a council of war, essentially. And say, well, we've come all this way. We can't go back now. Come on. Let's have a look around and see if we can find somewhere safer to go. So they sail up the coast a bit over to Kent. And there's a bit of debate exactly where he landed because, there's this place on the coast called Walmer, and there's a plaque there commemorating this is the location where Caesar landed. But up the road at a place called Pegwell Bay, which isn't that far, there are the remains of a rather large Roman-era fortification on the beach. So did he land at Walmer, or did he land at Pegwell Bay, or did he land with all of his ships all the way up the coast from one to the other? Which most historians these days are thinking, well, perhaps that's what he did. But what he did is he went and tried to land there. And the Britons were there to meet him because Rome really, really sucks at sailing. These triremes that they've got, they can't go far away from the coast. They need to see the coast unless you want to get lost at sea and probably die. So they've been keeping within eye's reach of the coast. Eye's reach? That's a weird saying. They've been keeping within sight of the coast all the way as they've sailed around looking for a beach to land on. So the Britons have just followed them all the way down the coast. Yeah. So we're still here, guys. Oh, and did I mention the Britons are naked?
Oh, yeah.
So you get the idea of what's going on here. The Romans in their armor on these boats are sailing along, and a bunch of angry nude people with spears are just following them on the coast. It must have been amazing to see.
Surreal.
Yeah. So the Britons just wandered up the coastline following these Romans, and like I say, it's easy to do. So they haven't lost them; they're still here. And when the Romans find somewhere that they think they can land, the Britons are there, ready and waiting. So we have all of these Romans coming as close to the coast as they can before their boats will hit the bottom of the seabed and start to break. And it turns out that they can't get very close at all, because at the particular beaches that they're trying to land at, it's actually quite shallow for most of the way out and then drops off. So the Romans, in full armor, are going to have to disembark into the sea and try and walk their way up onto the beach. It's not a great start, but they can do it. They think they can do it. So they get out, and it's about waist high, and maybe even shoulder high for some of them. And they're in all of their armor with their shields, weighing themselves down, but they're going to try and do a marine landing, essentially. The Britons aren't going to let this happen, however, because the new Britons, they're going to wade out into the shallow water and wait for the Romans to exhaust themselves fighting the ocean while they come up onto the beach. And then they're going to have a fight. So much for, hey, we don't want any trouble, you know?
Yeah.
So this sounds like a really bad situation. The locals are here. They know you're here. You've got no surprise attack. You're now essentially fighting uphill in water. This is not going to work well. But we're not just talking about any old Romans here. These are Caesar's Romans. They're veterans of various campaigns. They've fought in the cold. They've fought in the rain. They've fought every single person that comes along, and they've all won. So they're pretty good. They're hard. They're veterans. They've spent years fighting, and they're fighting under one of the greatest generals in history. So they're not going to turn around and just go. They are going to fight the naked dudes with sticks, and they're going to fight them in the water if they have to.
Yes.
So they advance. And it's not going well. As you might expect, it's still uphill in water in full armor. So they're exhausted. And the Britons, all they've done is walk for a bit. So they're doing pretty good. They're starting to hammer the Romans a bit. But then Caesar decides, hang on, these nude guys, all they've got is a wooden shield and a pointy stick. I've got some catapults on my ships here. So let's have a bit of fun. And he brings his big warships with their catapults round the flanks of the British troops and starts pelting them with everything he's got. And that does the trick. The Britons, they get absolutely trounced, and they decide, right, we've got to retreat and regroup and work out what's going on here. So
why didn't somebody tell me they had those big rock throwing things? What the hell?
yeah. I thought you guys, you said they had crap ships that they won't get here. That's got a thing that throws stuff. That's not nice. But yeah, they managed to get onto the land. So Caesar gets his foothold. He actually stands on British soil. But here's the thing. The weather's been pretty bad on the Channel, so Caesar's cavalry is still in Gaul, and he has to wait for them to arrive if he wants to chase the Britons. So the Britons, they fall back, disappear in the forest, and Caesar can't chase them. He has to wait for his third group of ships. So the Romans do what the Romans do best. They settle in and they establish a camp, which is nice. And it's all really well ordered, and they've basically got no trouble at the moment. The Britons have run away, so they get to set up their nice camp. And once that happens, Caesar gets a load of ambassadors coming over. He receives the ambassadors, and all of them claim, sorry guys, we really didn't want any trouble. That army of really well-armed naked dudes wasn't anything to do with us. We didn't know they were going to do that. It was just some local lads having a bit of fun. Don't attack us. Honest, it wasn't us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, British diplomacy comes down. It totally wasn't our fault, bruv.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And the best part is, all of that diplomacy Caesar thought was going on with his friend Commius, going over and trying to get the tribes on his side. None of that happened, because the moment Commius set foot in Britain, he got arrested by the British ambassadors that were with him.
Oh, bloody lovely.
So there's no diplomacy. No one is on Caesar's side. But he gets Commius back. It's one of the things that happens. He gets Commius and he thinks he's negotiating from a position of strength. That's what he actually writes in his dispatches going back to Rome. I am negotiating with the locals from a position of strength. But I doubt the Britons would see that as a position of strength, because that night, it turns out Caesar is a terrible, terrible sailor, and so are all of his guys with him, because they don't understand what British coastal weather is like. So what they've done is the Romans, in order to make sure their ships don't go anywhere while they're not using them, they've brought them right up onto the beach. Makes a lot of sense. You can beach your ships so that you can push them back out to sea when you need them. But here's the big issue. If you do that the same way you would do in the Mediterranean, where the weather is usually calm and all the boats can sit next to each other, and then a storm comes and trashes everything, you lose most of your ships. Caesar has lined up all of his boats next to each other on the British coast, where we get random and really quite bad storms. That night, a random and really, really bad storm happens and smashes most of his ships to pieces. So to paraphrase a modern story, the Britons are not trapped on an island with Rome. Rome is trapped on an island with Britain.
Yeah.
And the British take advantage. They attack, as you would.
Makes sense.
Also, remember that Caesar's not really brought that many people with him. He's also not brought very many supplies. He didn't expect this to be bad. He thought he'd have locals on his side. So now he's running out of food, and most of his ships are broken, so he can't send word back to get more. So he's having to send his legions out to forage for food in the local area. The British know this, and they attack. So he sends out all of his other legions to assist the ones that are getting attacked. They manage to fend off the British, so at least that's going for them. Then another storm hits because it's Britain, and most of our history has to be delayed for weather. That's just how it is.
D-Day.
So the fight. It's true. So, and this battle was called off because of bad weather. But you were fighting it. You were angry and stabbing each other, and then the rain came, and you just went, "Oh, sorry, bruv. I'll be back in the morning." That's what Britain does.
Yeah.
So the fighting all got delayed, but then it started up in earnest again, and it was a hard-fought battle. The Britons gave the Romans quite a hard-fought battle. But the Romans did manage to eventually deal with the fact that they were getting attacked left, right, and centre through three things. Commius has managed to lash together some cavalry units from local tribes who are... they're thinking, well, Rome's here now. Maybe it's a good idea that we talk to them. So he's got some cavalry. That's nice. What else has he done? Well, Rome has managed to rout in a very, very bloody rout, but it has routed the forces of the British. So the majority of that is falling back and falling back. Rome then decides the best tactic to make sure that they can't fight us as much is to use scorched earth tactics. Everywhere Rome's going, they're destroying things. So every time the Britons have fallen back, Rome's destroying what they can. Britain's fallen back, Rome's destroying what they can. So that happens, and finally, the Britons stop attacking for a bit. And Caesar gets time to regroup and reassess what's going on. So Caesar decides, well, it's coming up to winter. This place is very cold, and it's very wet, and we're surrounded by naked warriors who hate us. We're going back to Gaul. And that's it. He just sends word back saying he's succeeded in stopping the fundraising for Gallic rebellions. He sends that to Rome and says, I have successfully invaded somewhere that is off the edge of the known world. Yay me. Sends all those things back, packs up, and goes back to Gaul. So what the hell was the point of all that fighting? It's ridiculous, but Rome doesn't care. Rome is perfectly happy because they say, yes, you've conquered somewhere that didn't exist. Well done, you. Here's 20 days of Thanksgiving. They just celebrated for 20 days because he lied about what he'd done. So now he's in Gaul. And Britain has managed to withstand the first attempt at invasion. And It's ridiculous that they did this. But Britain didn't get much of a reprieve because in the summer of 54 BC, the year after, Caesar decided, right, I want round two. So now he's got 5 legions instead of the 2 that he had before. And he's taken 2,000 cavalry with him this time. And he spent all of the winter and the spring redesigning his ships so that they'll be better this time and they might not suck as much. So now he's going right back across to Britain. He's going to have another try because the first one went so well, you know. But alongside Caesar's army are something that you wouldn't expect in this kind of invasion. There are merchants. Lots and lots of merchants. Rome is taking trading ships along with its warships. It takes the total number of ships that are coming to Britain to about 800. So when the British, who've still got their sentries on top of those cliffs at Dover, just in case, see 800 ships coming, I think you can agree this might look a bit bad.
All right, lads, we had a good laugh last time, but this is a bad day. Do you see that shit?
Yeah, pretty much. So this time when Caesar arrives, there is not a pitched battle.
No.
He just gets up to the coast and they land. And immediately they establish a beachhead. The Romans arrive late in the day. I'm not entirely sure of the exact time, but we know it was late in the day because Caesar gives orders to one of his tribunes, Quintus Atrius, to establish the beachhead. And Caesar immediately takes off with a legion into the mainland. He's going straight for what's out there. So no one can try and creep up because he's got 4 legions established at a beachhead and 1 going directly into British territory. And he does this at night, which is how we know that they got there quite late. So it's not usually a good idea to wander off into a forest at night, but Caesar, he makes it work. And he discovers a load of British forces. They're amassing at a place called the River Stour, which flows into Pegwell Bay, that place that we thought he might have landed at in the first attempt. Some of those Romans have probably seen this before, so they kind of know this area, which is good, which is probably how he didn't get lost in the forest. The Britons see the Romans coming and immediately attack at night. At least that's what history says happens. Because it's worth noting at this point that we have no idea what the Britons were doing. The only historical record we have for this entire encounter comes from Rome. Britain had no writing system until the Roman occupation. So we're really taking it on Caesar's word here. And he's
Well,
he's not above
you know,
lying.
he's an honest guy, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So we have a kind of idea of what's going on, but not really. So we know that there was a fight. The Romans say the British started it. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But the Romans fought off the British, and the British retreat to what Caesar in his dispatches calls a fortified location in the forest. We don't know what this is, but historians think it was probably this place called Bigbury Wood Hill Fort. But if it was this hill fort, it wasn't very good because it was no match for the Romans. The Romans go in at this hill fort and just defeat the British, who ran away. So now Caesar has a hill fort and a beachhead. He's doing pretty good this time.
Yeah.
So he settles in for the night. I think he got to the point where he thought, you know, I can't trust my luck to keep going this far. We'll stay here for the night. We're going to camp out. And he settles in. He makes his camp at this hill fort. In the morning, Caesar's luck runs out because he gets word that all of his ships still suck. He's done the same thing this time as he did last time. All of his ships are on the coast, beached up, and a big storm hit. All of his ships have got smashed, and 40 of them are destroyed. So, at this point, we have to realize ancient Rome has one of these. It's got a reputation. It's almost deified in some ways for their ability to adapt to obstacles. They adapted to Hannibal. They adapted to the Gauls invading and everything like that. What they don't do is adapt to naval issues. So Caesar's made the same mistake as he did last time. So now he's just got to go back to the coast, leave his camp that he's just set up, that he's hard won in a battle, and go and sort these ships out. It takes them 10 days to rebuild all of their ships. Meanwhile, Britain knows the Romans are here now. So they've lost the element of surprise. They've lost any advantage they had from taking that hill fort. But they did build a new fort at the beachhead, which is probably the one that we've got the archaeological remains of. And they've got their ships back. So at least there's that. So Caesar returns to the Stour River, where he was fighting the Britain about 2 weeks before this point. And the British are massing there again because the fort's still there and the Roman camp is mostly still there. So he's got to deal with that now. It's just ridiculous. But the various tribes, in the 10 days that Rome has been rebuilding its ships, they have all got together and they've decided, look, we've got to put aside our differences and deal with those guys because those guys have got two big things on us. They've got armor and they've got clothes, and we don't like it. So we're going to have to team up. So they are all coming together, and they've elected a guy called Cassivellaunus. I think Cassivellaunus. It's a ridiculous name, and it's not his name. That's the Roman name. We don't know who this guy was.
It was Bob.
We just know that the Romans called him Cassivellaunus, and he's been elected to lead the fight against the Romans. But since most people have never heard of Cassivellaunus, I think we all know how well this is going to go.
Not very well.
Probably not.
Why is Bob saying he's the leader of this? I never did like Bob.
So we have several skirmishes. British troops harrying Romans when they're foraging for food and then retreating into the forest. They're coming in, hitting and disappearing. It's a tactic that we've all seen before in many, many wars because it works. It's getting a bit annoying. But then Cassivellaunus does something that I don't think anyone would be expecting. He sent most of his army home. Just like, nope, we don't need you. We're going to do this my way. He sends most of his army home and he relies on guerrilla tactics using what Caesar reports as a force of only 4,000 chariots. This is quite interesting because Rome has a very weird idea about chariots, and it's all in response to the issues that came up during the Bronze Age collapse. Now, in ancient Egypt, chariots were like the pinnacle thing. It was the tank of the day. You would ride in with these amazing vehicles and you would trounce your enemy. And the only way your enemy could fight back is to have more chariots. And then the Bronze Age collapse came about, and all of a sudden people couldn't afford to build these rather expensive things and to train the people to operate them. It cost a fortune. So Rome doesn't use chariots the way that the old people used to. They ride chariots to battle, ride chariots during a battle to get from one position to another quickly, and then get off the chariot and fight. But Cassivellaunus doesn't use them like that. He rides in on his chariots, attacks, and then rides back out, hit and run tactics. So this is actually working quite well for him. The Romans don't fight like this. They've not seen this in ages. So it's actually quite interesting. And as a result, Caesar's advance into Britain becomes really difficult, but he still manages to advance. But it buys Cassivellaunus the time that he actually needs. The Romans are advancing, and they're getting closer and closer to the Thames River as they go. Cassivellaunus has been using these guerrilla tactics, plus the fact that he's sent most of his guys home to slow the Romans down, while the guys he sent home build fortifications. So, when the Romans arrive at the Thames River, they see this massive fortified structure. There are fortifications on the land in the form of like a hill fortification that they've just built with earth. There are spears and sharpened stakes all over this thing. There are fortifications on the edge of the river, there are fortifications on the other side of the river, and there are fortifications in the river. You cannot get to, to where Casavalaunus is. He has made the entire place one enormous death trap. And no person in their right mind would try to cross this thing. Also, Casavalaunus hopes. But the thing is, he's not just
He's
dealing with
Caesar.
Yes, exactly. He's not dealing with any old guy. This is Julius friggin' Caesar.
Caesar. Yeah.
And Caesar has a tank. He has an old style ancient world tank. So, when a giant armored elephant comes out of the forest and walks toward this fortified place, the Britons have never seen this thing before. When Caesar comes in, it's the same experience for the Britons as when the Romans first fought Hannibal. They think this thing is a monster. They have never seen anything like it. It's covered in armored plates. These stakes that they've put in the ground do nothing to stop it or even slow it down. So the Britons run. Literally, get on their horses and go. Caesar takes the entire place with one elephant. And it is amazing.
Didn't see that coming, mother.
Yeah. When I was researching for
Element of
this,
surprise.
when I was researching for this, my first thought was, where the hell did he get an elephant?
That's
Yeah.
what I was wondering.
There was no mention of this. But he's got an elephant, and it's actually worked quite well for him.
No. I guess
So
the ships aren't that shite after all. Managed to get a freaking 1,000-pound elephant across the
Yeah,
channel.
it's no wonder they were weighed down a bit and they had to get out in the sea.
Yeah.
So Caesar Hannibals his way into Casavalaunus' fort, and he settles in as if it's his own place. Now Rome has a massive fortified place that he's pretty sure the Britons can't get into. So, as you might expect, this is an overwhelming display of force. The Romans seem unconquerable at this point. So several British tribes decide it's probably best if they throw their lot in with the new guys rather than sticking with the old guys. Just in case more elephants come knocking on their house next.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, Casavalaunus has a bit of trouble with a tribe called the Trinovantes. He came in and overthrew their king a while back, and they haven't forgotten about that. So the Trinovantes are the first to switch sides. When they switch sides and the news gets out that they're on Caesar's side now, a few others start moving over. The Kenemangi, the Segontiaci, the Anquilates, the Bibroci, and the Cassi. And if they all sound like Roman names, it's because they are. We do not know what these people called themselves because Britain didn't write anything down. So all we've got is Caesar says these guys came over and this is what they're called. And we have to go, okay, Caesar.
10-4.
Yeah. So he's got 5 tribes on his side now, which is pretty good. These tribes tell Caesar where Casavalaunus' stronghold is. And it's a shame that Caesar didn't tell anyone else where this stronghold is, because we don't know.
Yes.
But we have an idea. Using educated guesses, we think it's a hill fort in Hertfordshire called Wethamstead or Weathamstead or something like that. Hertfordshire has strange names that I can't pronounce. But we can't say for certain.
Probably
We're
on
pretty
purpose.
sure. Well, yes, some places are like that. We can't say for certain, but we're pretty sure that's where it is. So Caesar goes there and lays siege. The Romans are surrounding this place. Casavalaunus is stuck. He's got no option except to either surrender or try something a bit tricky. So he decides to try something a bit tricky, and he sends word
Of
out.
course.
Yeah, he sends word out to his remaining allies. Caesar describes these guys as the 4 kings in Cantium, which is the Roman name for Kent. And Casavalaunus has asked them to attack the Roman beachhead. The plan is to split Caesar's attention and cause him to either excuse me, that Coke is really gone for me. The plan is to split Caesar's attention, and that way he'll either have to ease his siege on Cassivellaunus or to lose his beachhead. Caesar can't really afford to do either, so Cassivellaunus thinks this will work. But it doesn't. The Romans are pretty hard, and they've got a fortified beachhead, because remember, right back at the start where Caesar's rebuilding his boats, he's also building that fort. So the Romans are bedded in, and as a result, the attack on the beachhead fails. So the Romans are still attacking Cassivellaunus' stronghold. And that means Cassivellaunus has no options left. He has to surrender. So he sends some ambassadors to Caesar for negotiations. Meanwhile, Caesar's got a bit more bad news. And it's not about the weather this time, which is amazing. So he's got news that the Gauls have realized Caesar's not there anymore. He's over in Britain. So the Gauls have decided that it's time to cause trouble. And there's a reason that Asterix is set in this period. The moment Caesar's not there, the Gauls start having a fight. So now we've got Caesar saying, all of these holdings that I spent years building, they're getting trounced. We've got to go back. Meanwhile, this guy wants peace. Okay, we'll have peace. Communists, come and negotiate peace with this guy. So Commius and Cassivellaunus both negotiate a peace where Britain is technically now under Roman rule, and tribute will be paid to Rome, which is nice. Caesar can say, I have won. He declares victory, packs up and leaves. Here's the thing, though. He seems to either... We're not entirely sure what his exact thought process is, because he doesn't write an awful lot about this down. He's either decided that Britain is actually more of a problem than he expected and not worth the effort, or the affront in Gaul with all the rebellions is far, far more dangerous, because he doesn't leave a single Roman troop in Britain. He packs up entirely and goes home. And as a result, when he writes back to Rome and says he returned to Gaul with hostages but no booty, we aren't even sure if Cassivellaunus actually had to pay Caesar a single penny of that tribute. It's not recorded ever again. It's like all of this never happened. So that's it. For 90 years, Rome doesn't go back to Britain. It doesn't get any money from Britain. It doesn't send any people to Britain. It might as well not have happened. Caesar has gone in, had a lot of fights, got a few people killed, and then gone home. And that's it.
Yeah. And so, then the next time they would try it, it would be even worse. But that's the point.
Yeah, but fourth time lucky.
Yeah. Third time they lost a whole legion. No big deal. And then there's the whole, attack the water thing. Yeah.
We're going to fight the sea.
Yeah. Yes. Hell with it. Oh my
So yeah, Caesar wasted a lot of time and blood and people for absolutely nothing. Except glory. And apparently that was all he needed.
Yeah.
Boost his ego.
Mm.
Or attempt to.
I just love it. At the end of the day, it's Britain not, Rome not.
Yeah. We had a couple of good days there, and then we just got bored. Came home. Had to go fight the Gauls again.
Yeah, bloody Asterix.
Yeah. We needed more people in the Colosseum. We had to go fight Gaul. It is what it is.
It's great. It ends up coming down to Britain managed to defeat Rome by just waiting for them to go home.
Yes.
Wait them out. Sometimes that works.
Or as John DeMarco says, all right, we'll call it a draw.
Yeah. You have your people call my people, and we'll talk about that whole tribute thing.
Yeah, we're totally going to do it, man.
Yeah, totally.
Your check's in the mail.
Yeah, pretty much. The boat sank. Darn.
Yeah, you know how boats are. You've lost a few of them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. Oh darn. But yeah, so it's so funny because a lot of that whole history, and it would not surprise me in the least if half of that didn't happen. Just
Hmm.
just didn't happen, or at least it didn't happen that way. Would not surprise me.
Yeah.
Just because, again, when you have to when you go further back in history, you have to remember who wrote it, who you're reading it from, and what their motivations in writing this down was.
Right.
Yes.
And especially when
This,
you only have one side of accounts.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Rome's Caesar is never going to send back to Rome anything that says that he was an idiot. So anything he could have fudged up is not making that report.
Absolutely not.
Right? Like this is not happening. So in some ways, I'm wondering if the Gauls was an excuse. Like it's always puzzled me because I'm like, okay, but yeah, the Gauls are attacking, but okay, you have to leave. That's fine. You leave a commander in charge and you have your fortifications. You're fine.
Yeah.
What causes him to pull back all the way? And
Yeah.
it can't be just that the Gauls are attacking because
They're always the gunner attack.
they're always attacking. This is not like it's like water's wet. Yeah, and
Yeah.
not to mention he's got 5 legions with him. 5. I believe if you look at the troop strength of Rome at the point, 5 legions was nothing. It was like I sent out a scout group to go look at this goofy looking island on the far side there. He didn't need those 5 legions. They didn't make a hill of spit as far as the fight with Gaul. The only thing, and I mean, the other thing that they like to do is that well, the 5 legions that were with Caesar were his legions. Okay, and
Yeah. What about the rest?
yeah. These are the only 5 legions that matter. The rest of you schmucks suck. It's like,
Stay with us.
yeah. You just stay at our rear, but geez. Because it's never made a lick of sense to me other than there had to be more to this than what we're told.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The idea that he would leave completely, leaving no one behind, and no tribute was ever paid. So I have a feeling that it wasn't quite the way that it went. Like,
No.
perhaps Cassivellaunus actually fought him to a standstill, or maybe even caused him to retreat.
Or he never left the beachhead.
Possibility too.
There's that.
And where did that elephant come from?
That's the other thing too. Where the hell? Like I get it. The Romans used them. I mean, it's not that much of a stretch to say that they could have done it. It is within the realm of probability. But the thing that always puzzled me about that was, okay, let me get this straight. They have a hard enough time having ships to bring humans across, but they somehow got a ship that could get an elephant across, not a bother. Hold. What?
Yeah, did it come later? What happened?
Yeah. It's like, did they have teleporters we weren't aware of? Jeez.
Oh,
But-
now we're getting into the whole other area that I love. If there was an ancient society long enough ago that had advanced technology, would we even know? Because the archaeological record loses so much over time.
Yeah.
True.
But it's just crazy because on one hand, Caesar I mean, he's definitely not known for falsifying war documents ever.
Really?
Well, okay, every second one was a little bit fudged, but it was all right.
Just a little, huh?
Yeah, just a tad. I mean, Caesar, I don't know. I can't see the man doing that. He's too proud. The only reason he was going back to go after Gaul was because, hey, I took that over already, some bitch. You're not getting that back.
Yeah.
So why would he give up all this new, right? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of,
it doesn't really fit. Although he was a pragmatist, I'll give him that. So who knows? At the end of the day, we just don't know.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we take so much of what was done back then as fact because it was the recorded record and they would never lie. We're stupid. I mean, like, I'm sorry. Have you seen a modern day politician at any time of the day? They do it all the time.
Yeah.
And right, like, I mean, you look at any war in history, and if you read it just from the German side, we were the worst motherfuckers on the planet. If you read it from our side, they're the worst motherfuckers on the planet. So, you know, whichever may be true is, well, up to you to decide. I mean, it's not hard, but it's you know, but if you're only getting the ally, you know, if you're only seeing a conflict from one side, you're really not getting anything. I mean, I brought up Nero earlier. I've always thought that the history books have got Nero wrong. Because if you think about Nero, anything we know about Nero was written by the people who killed his ass. So, you know, like, I mean, like, seriously, you think they're going to write he was a charming individual? No, he was nuttier than a nut factory. That's why we killed his ass.
We had to kill him. In fact, he asked us to.
Yeah.
I've
got that signed paper over here. Just give me a second. Yeah.
Sorry, I was getting a comment on my mug.
Oh, yes, Doctor Who.
Well, the cup heats up and the TARDIS disappears and reappears on the other side. So,
oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
Wow. Well, that was fun, guys. I enjoyed that.
That was.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all. Hopefully, you all enjoyed that and found that interesting. Jeff, do you have anything to promote? I have a feeling you and Zoe will probably promote the same things, but you know, carry on.
I'll let Zoe do that, especially since she's going to host this Sunday.
Oh, she gets the hot seat.
I did actually agree to this.
God, dang it.
And I want to know, Zoe, about your podcast. You were going to develop a podcast a few months back. I wonder if that's off the ground, what you're doing with that.
What I've actually talked to you about today is part of the notes from that podcast.
Oh, cool.
So it hasn't launched yet. And it's going to be called The Complete History of Britain from 12,000 BC to the year 2000. And it hasn't started yet, but it's coming.
Awesome.
And the reason it hasn't started yet is I have so many maps and things to draw for it to prepare that I haven't quite got there yet. But that'll be coming, yeah. But the thing that we're both on, Jeff and I, is a question of track. And do you want to talk about that, Jeff?
Oh, I can. If you love Star Trek, if you love quiz shows, this is the show for you. We have a lot of great banter between the four hosts that we have on the show. Four? Yeah, four. And we usually have a couple of guests that come on with us, and a lot of Star Trek questions and a lot of jokes. We have a lot of fun. We'd love to have you join us. Sometimes we have people come up from the chat onto the show. So if we have one of those Sundays, you can be on the show. But if you'd like to be on the show, get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us on Twitter. Continuum Trek is the person you want to talk with, and we can maybe get you on a future episode of Question of Trek. We'd love to have you there. And we are there. I'm sorry. We are on Sundays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Central. So that's the time.
Which is about
So the
9:30
3:30 is the only one that matters. Just
3:30 is the only one that matters because both Robert and I are in that time zone.
yes.
9:30 p.m. GMT for everyone else.
There you go.
So yeah, it's been fun, guys, and that's why I asked Jeff to do the bit about question of track. He's so much better at explaining what it is that we do.
We just do things. Show up. So
We
quick
pick
couple of
on
things.
Conti all the time. That's
Yeah.
what we do. We pick on Conti.
It's in the contract. Read the fine print. Couple quick things. History with R&R has these wonderful live streams in the morning, and if you'd like to be on one and you have researched or have a topic in history that you really, really enjoy and you'd like to get on here and talk, reach out to Jeff. Jeff is the scheduler for the show. I don't handle any of that. So reaching out to me does you squat. It gets please let Jeff know that idea, and I'll hope to see you later, because that's Jeff's department. I do other things, and Jeff takes care of the scheduling for me because I hate scheduling.
Get a hold of me on Twitter or on Discord. I just put information in the chat about that. Awesome.
And so if you'd like to be on the show, just get in touch with Jeff, and Jeff will slot you in. Also, as I said, as far as my content, Rambling Canuck, right now I don't have anything slated until I get the new system, except for karaoke, of course. I might do an impromptu stream here or there because there's this, 3 semis and 5 4x4s that happen to be in Ottawa right now, that I may talk about. And then here on History with R&R, of course, this Friday we will have Mr. CCDV, and we'll be going through more of his war stories. So that should be interesting. And then we should have the return of the round table next week, because I should be able to record, because hopefully by then I have the new system. Also, Mary's Game Room, or Mrs. Canuck, has a stream tonight, I believe, if my memory serves me right. And that should be fun. Yes, because she had streamed Saturday, so Wednesday, so Monday, Monday. So I believe, dear, what time do you start again? 6:30, right? Central? This is usually right after I get connected on dialysis. Yeah, so 6:30 tonight on Mary's Game Room. They will have a gaming stream. The Monday streams usually go a little off the wall, and it's usually Pick on Mark Day, which is usually every day. But, there's that.
Poor Mark.
He likes it, or at least he pretends he does.
I don't think he would stick around if he didn't like it.
Yeah, and as Ms. Canuck just put in the chat, it's 6:30 Central Time. Awesome. So Mary's Game Room, do tune in for that. It's always good for a couple of good chuckles, and bring popcorn. Once you get into the chat, you will understand what that means. And again, do tune in to Question of Trek. It is a good joke, a good riot. And just remember, just like Mark, if Conti's winning, he's cheating. Next.
Oh, by the way, we also have wonderful animated skits that Zoe draws on A Question of Trek. So check those out. They're hilarious.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome. They're awesome. You guys need to give her a raise. I'm just saying.
I keep saying that every week. So you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah. All right. With that, I'll end this with thank you and good night.